Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're here straight at 4 minutes after 7, and after almost 3 weeks with no presentation, we made a little bit change, and instead of having on the Saturday afternoon this presentation in English, we have moved to Friday at 7 o'clock Central European time. For those of you that you may watch for the first time, or you're gonna watch at second on another level, you can subscribe, you can send us your email so you can receive the updates at least 2 days ahead when we are going to have an English presentation like this. For those that you're English speaking, or perhaps for those that you're Russian speaking people, and I thank my brother Pavel in Belgium that he's doing afterwards the translation in Russian language, so people around the world, Russian speaking people, can see these issues of information. It will be very beneficial to know that this channel is dedicated to study God's Word from one side, and secondly, to have a scientific based and evidence proved or proof positive regarding where we're going, why we're here, and where we come from. For sure, this channel and these presentations are not referring to those that they call themselves atheists, or those that they may have other belief systems, but they all welcome here to come and to reason together and to study, to see how things are. The bulletproof issue of science is not to investigate the existence or not of God. Science either will be in medicine or in any other kind of faculty. The main issue and the target is just to pinpoint what is going on, how this is going on, either in a chemical, in biological, or another level, and how we can work for the benefit of us and for the mankind, these things that we come to know in our understanding. So today, for those of you that you received the email before a couple of days ago, our topic is Genesis. Is the book of Genesis the book of beginnings, fables, or foundation for the faith of a child of God? And as you can see in the front cover in Time magazine, is the Bible fact or fiction? Archaeologists in the Holy Land are shedding new light on what did and didn't occur in the greatest stories ever told. So, to be in the cover, front cover in Time magazine, it means there are serious people that seriously they are seeking after the truth or evidence or information. In Romans, in New Testament, in the Epistle to Romans from Apostle Paul, in chapter 5, verse 12, it is written, "Therefore, sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin. And in this way death came to all people because all have sinned." Here in the Bible, for those of you that you're Bible-believing Christians, and for those that you are not, it's okay. We can elaborate on that in some future time, or you can go back. We have, I think, 3 or 4 presentations in our channel in English, so you can see some of them. We have also a whole presentation that has to do with the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, and all this bumbo jumbo. So the Bible is clear that death is a result not of any process, accumulative process in evolutionary tree, but has to do with the sin issue. And this is the complete difference between the worldview, the Weltanschauung, as the Germans say, how a Christian is seeing through a telescope or a microscope the world, and how an agnostic or an atheist or a pantheist may have a view. In Hebrews, in the New Testament, and it's not referring to the Hebrews, but it's the spiritual Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 22, it is written, In fact, the law requires that nearly everything be cleansed with blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sin. So we have the first point, sin, and then we have how this sin problem can be resolved. And this can be resolved only through the shedding of the blood. You see, that's the great difference between Christianity and all other religions, because all other religions and philosophical systems, and I'm saying loud, I'm Greek and I'm proud, and for my ancestors and all philosophy and everything that we have brought to this world, from the alphabet, from mathematics and physics and everything. But Socrates and Aristotle and Protagoras and Plato, they were philosophers, they were human beings. They never claimed for themselves divinity. The same with Buddha or Muhammad. But the difference with a Christian is that he has another perspective and he knows that he cannot go up to heaven. All other religious systems, with left and right and back and forth and wishy-washy, they just claim, with one way or another, that you can go up to heaven by doing things. In the real biblical Christianity, I have to make the differentiation here, because the majority of the Christianity today, and I'm not talking about Catholicism, Orthodoxy, or mainstream Protestantism, and I'm including even Pentecostals, Evangelicals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Adventists, Baptists, everyone, they may profess by mouth that the salvation is by faith through grace, but in reality they teach its religious system, I call them its religious cage, and Carl Jung, great psychoanalyst, has said that all religions have been made up to deprive faith from people and not to increase faith. That's why I'm against any kind of cage and closed system. You call it a church, denomination, congregation, whatsoever. For sure, here also we come together. And like I told my friend Pavel, that we are a rebel church. The technician here, Theodore, says that in the evangelical church here in Katerini, that is the greatest, after the Orthodox Church, the evangelicals are the second largest denomination in Greece, and the church in Katerini is the mother church. He's smiling now. He's full of pride. Anyway, he's not proud of himself, this church. Anyway, because his church is just, I was about to kick him in the butt. But, to cut the long story short, they have announced that, I don't know in your countries, but here in Greece, to keep the safety rules, because safety is important, and security is important, and health is important. Now listen, safety, security, and health is not the most important thing. I'm saying this as a scientist, after all these fields of science that I have been through, these 30 years that I keep on studying. This coming July I'm graduating in dietology and nutrition, and that will be the last because I don't want to spend any money and the time is short. But all these 30 years of non-stop studying, there is a great difference. I have come to know from the fields of biology or medicine or neuroscience or astrobiology or dietitian and anything, or physics and maths and everything, that safety and security and health is not the most crucial thing. Health is important. If you lose health, you lose everything. But above health is truth, is freedom, and justice. This is the Trinity that this God that I worship and follow, and I'm his disciple, I have come to see through the Bible and through these different issues of science that I have been going through. Freedom is important. Okay? So when people say you go to church, like I was saying about the evangelical church, and you have to announce ahead that how many people will get inside the congregation on Sunday morning, they go on the wrong day in the church and they do the wrong things in the church. And they say, okay, we have 2 sermons on Sunday because the church, the capacity of the church, how many people they may No, how many normally they have, the capacity?
About 200.
About 200 people they can get inside this church building, and now maximum will be 50 with masks. Only the pastor will not wear a mask, but he will wear a mask if he goes close to have a close contact with his. No hymnal, nothing, because through Christian hymnal, COVID-19 gets in the air. You see, I don't know if you have heard the song from Phil Collins. I can hear it coming in the air tonight. Oh, well. I don't know why they're doing this. It's stupid. Before a couple of days ago, came out from a whistleblower from the German government, a paper called MK4. It's not MK Ultra. That was another system that they have done in the 50s, 60s, CIA, to demolish the hippies movement. MK4, and whosoever of you speaks German, I can send it, if you send me an email, to read it in the original language. And what this paper says, that the lockdown and all these measures were for nothing, because you have the 383,000 so-called deaths from COVID-19, the half of them through a polymerase chain reaction test is false positive, and the rest of them, they died not from COVID-19, but with COVID-19. That makes a great difference. We shouldn't have done this, taken these measures, this paper says, from the German, from Reichstag. And the reason is that 2017, 2018, there were worldwide 1.6 million people dead because of seasonal flu. Now, today in the Greek TV, nationwide, they saw that there was a company that the World Health Organization used to make to receive the statistics. And I have said time and again, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. And this company, this private company, we don't know from where it gets the money. They have make statistical distortion in the data, and they have so-called driven away the specialists and doctors, so they have declared pandemic. And I'm asking myself and wondering myself, why there is no prosecution? Why they don't take them to court? Where is justice? You will never find justice. So I have told to my friend Pavel, to close the parenthesis, that here we are rebels. We don't keep this kind of human laws. We hug each other, we kiss each other, and we have close contact. And I have said in the peak of the pandemic here in Greece that I'm willing, we have no more than 2,500 incidents, and we have only 178 deaths. All of them above 75 and with 2 or 3 subjective diseases. I have challenged the specialists here in Greece that all these 2,500 incidents, they can come and for 24 hours they can spit me from the bottom of my toe to the top of my head, and I can guarantee that I will contract no COVID-19. There is only one presupposition: it has to be on Sabbath day. So I have only to do it on the Sabbath day. Nothing will happen on the Sabbath day. Anyway, so the difference with Christianity and all other religious and philosophical systems that they have particles and germs of truth is that you can not go up to heaven. Heaven will come down to you, and because sin is the problem, psychology doesn't refer to that. Sin has to be solved through the shedding of the blood. That's the difference. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 21 till 22. For since death came through a man, the resurrection of the dead comes also through a man. For as in Adam all die, so in Christ all will be made alive. So Apostle Paul says, through one man came sin, and because of this sin, and I'm not talking about the kind of sin that the Catholic Church is saying and is promulgating, okay, is the heredity or the inclination to do the evil. You see, we are not born good. We are born evil. You have to, and if you don't believe me, see 2 small babies, not more than 3 to 4 years old. Let them be siblings and be 2 girls or even 2 boys. And if the mother or the father takes these 2 young children and buys to one ice cream, the other one, because he has such an altruism, will say, "Oh, Dad, oh, Mom, I feel so good because you bought ice cream for my brother and I didn't took nothing." No. Every normal child will start, "I just want to have ice cream." You see, selfishness, Selbstsucht, egoism is implanted because we lost contact with God. And what God is doing is trying to restore this kind of relationship. What is the Bible? Is the manual for the total restoration. What we are doing in our health and wellness programs that we're performing up here in the Frim mountains of Greece, we're just showing how this restoration, body, spirit, and soul is taking place. And Paul is sounding clear. Through one man came death, through one man came life, and all will be alive through Jesus Christ. In the same epistle, the same chapter, a little bit later, verse 45 to 47, so it is written, and now it is Paul is quoting, the first man, Adam, became a living being, and in the ancient Hebrew is a living soul. Became a living being. He didn't have an immortal soul, and this soul was implanted in a dead corpse. Okay? He became. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit, is talking about Jesus. The spiritual did not come first, but the natural. And after that, the spiritual. The first man was of the dust of the earth, the second man from heaven. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 4 and 5. And Jesus was talking about the marriage to Pharisees and to the Sadducees. And Pharisees and Sadducees today will be left and right in political scene. Might be the scientific community, the specialists, and the political agenda that they impose what the scientists are saying and dictating to us how to behave and what to do. Listen to the specialists. Listen to those that they know. Listen to the doctors. And I have told you that specialists have done the Titanic. And Titanic was sank. And amateurs, they have built the Ark of Noah. So don't listen always the specialists because they do wrong. Haven't you read, he replied, that at the beginning, you see, many people, they don't read the Old Testament, say the Jews, the Hebrews, they did it, it's a Hebrew lie. We read the New Testament, we're New Testament Christians. Yeah, but Jesus was going always back and was saying, it is written. His defense and offense was, it is written. Now, Jesus claimed that he was God. He didn't say I was a good prophet. And I have told sometime in the past with Muslims, and Muslims in the Quran, they refer to Jesus. And they refer he is a prophet. And I'm asking them, is he a real prophet or a false prophet? No, he's a real prophet. Then what do you have to say? Because Jesus said, I'm God. So what you do with this statement? You have 2 options. Decline or accept. And Jesus said, haven't you read? When he's talking to Pharisees, he always talks, have you ever read? When he's talking to people that they don't read the word, he's just saying, they told you, it was told to you, this and that, but I'm telling you. So to common people, he's restoring the truth about the biblical word as he himself has given from the beginning of time. But to those that they are teachers, have you not read what it is written at the beginning? So Jesus says there was a beginning, the creator, or plastis in Greek, made them male and female. And here we can have a joke. As we say, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. and said, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united, cleave with his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So Jesus was going back to the beginning. So Genesis is the cornerstone, the foundation, either to build up the whole faith or to destroy and demolish Christianity, because without Genesis and the historical text and the authenticity of Genesis, we are nothing. Because all the doctrines and anything that is sustained above the book of beginnings, because you cannot have something in the end if you don't have a beginning. Sin is promulgated there, death as a result, marriage, and the gospel. So Genesis is the foundation. If Genesis is not real history, how we can defend the gospel? We cannot say it's an allegory, it's symbolic. I'm talking the whole book of Genesis, and especially the first 11 chapters, the creation. Richard Bottorff, The Meaning of Evolution, American Atheist, in 1979, page 30. It becomes clear now that the whole justification of Jesus' life, now, this is from the horse's mouth, someone that is calling himself an atheist. The whole justification of Jesus' life and death is predicated on the existence of Adam and the forbidden fruit he and Eve ate. Without the original sin, who needs to be redeemed? He's coming to the right conclusion. Why to have redemption? Without Adam's fall into a life of constant sin, terminated by death, what purpose is there to Christianity? None. Now, do you catch that? There is no purpose for Christianity. And one reason that Christianity is sleeping, better said, is snoring, almost dead, is because of this. They have abandoned the biblical foundation of Genesis. They have no real foundation. He goes on, Christianity must be, I'm quoting, totally committed to the special creation as described in Genesis. And Christianity must fight with its full might, fair or foul, against the theory of evolution. Wow. That really is a hammer. He says, he's not a pastor, he's not a preacher. He says that Christianity must be totally committed. Totally committed is how much percent? 85, 95.6, 99.9, now 100%. What is the first commandment? You shall love the Lord thy God with all your might, all your soul, and all your heart. All right? Then either fair or foul against the theory of evolution. He goes on. The day will come when the evidence constantly accumulating around the evolutionary theory becomes so massively persuasive that even the last and most fundamental Christian warriors will lay down their arms and surrender unconditionally. I believe that day will be the end of Christianity, and we're almost at the end, because the majority of Christian pastors, preachers, and priests, they have laid down their arms because so-called we have a massively persuasive evidence about the evolutionary theory. And in this series, starting from today, we are going to deplore and to explore and to defy and to rectify if that is so. Like I told you at the beginning, the role of science, and I'm claiming myself as a scientist, but as a normal human being, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I exist. I have to see if that is true. I have to find evidence for one or the other theory. So we have these worldviews in conflict. Darwinism, evolutionary theory, and Jesus on the other side. And there is no compromise. Compromise is impossible. But the Catholic Church, a long time ago, has acknowledged that evolutionary theory is not a fiction. So the Pope himself. So when the Pope speaks, who am I? I am no one, but who are you? I don't care if you're the Pope. Worldviews in conflict. So here we have atheism, and then it's built upon atheism, naturalism and materialism, dialectic or historical materialism for the communists, evolution, humanism, and to all of these, let's hear what Professor Provine, a professor of biological science, Cornell University, and this is from the Origin Research.
Let me summarize my views on what modern evolutionary biology tells us loud and clear, and I must say that these are basically Darwin's views. There are no gods, no purposive forces of any kind, no life after death. When I die, I am absolutely certain that I'm going to be completely dead. That's just all that's going to be the end of me. There is no ultimate foundation for ethics, no ultimate meaning in life, and no free will for humans either.
Now, you listen what he said, and I just have put it on the screen for you to read it. What he says is that he summarized his views. He doesn't have any evidence, but according to his research, he summarized what modern evolutionary biology tells us loud and clear. So what they say is that there are no gods, so Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, just go away. No purposeful forces of any kind, no life after death. When I die, I'm dead. That's just all. There are no ultimate foundation for ethics. Now, do you see why we have today your truth, my truth? We have subjective approach to reality. No ultimate meaning in life. And Viktor Frankl, that he survived from Auschwitz, he was a disciple, a student of Sigmund Freud, the third school of Vienna in psychoanalysis. After he survived from Auschwitz, and when he went in, he was a professor of neurology in Vienna University, medical university, and hospital, I'm sorry. And as a student of Sigmund Freud, he believed what Freud has taught. But when he was inside Auschwitz, and he came out, and he was honored with 28 doctoral titles, he died in 1998, in the age of 92. He concluded that a person, if he has no, or he or she has no ultimate meaning in life, he is dead. And this defines a person that he will fight or flight. And no free will. No free will for humans. So we are doomed. So, from the one side you have evolution, man's opinion, because the professor is just a person. We have aloneness, violence. You saw it's not only in school, the bullying and this, you see it in the society. Behavior in homosexuality, pornography, abortion. The number one cause of death. Last year we have 42,500,000 registered abortions worldwide. That means 42,500,000 people in the sake and for the sake of the pleasure and the free will and the choice of the woman, because she liked to do what she liked to do, but she didn't want to have the consequence of this. These people died. They are living souls. Because you heard the professor, there is no ethics. And on the other side, you have God's word with creation. We have a lawgiver and a law. We have marriage, standards that are valid for everyone at any given time. You see, the law of gravitation is valid for each one of us, believe it or not. And you have meaning of life. Here you have no meaning. Gallup poll 2011. Belief in God by demographic categories. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in God or a universal spirit? In the United States, national adults, 92% said yeah. Men and women, 18 to 29 years old. The youngsters in high school and university students, beliefs of students. Barna Research 2006. 61% of young adults who were regular church attendees are spiritually disengaged in their 20s. That means when they get in the university, 1 out of 2 young Bible-believing or Christian-believing youngster is losing the faith. 20% of those who are spiritually active during high school maintain a similar level of commitment in their 20s. Only 20%.
I mean, you have such a wide variety of life, and I don't think it's possible for one person, I mean, no matter how powerful he might be, to just snap his fingers and create life. It has to come out naturally over millions of years, probably.
Half of me believes in the theory of evolution, probably because that's what I was taught.
4 years of studies, unfortunately, have kind of brainwashed me towards evolution.
I believe humans evolved to where we are today from single-celled organisms based on the theory of Darwinism and natural selection. I don't think that there was any sort of divine intervention.
I believe evolution is pretty much a proven theory.
I don't believe in a higher order, just because the fact that I haven't seen any, proof or, concrete evidence of that, and until somebody shows me, that there is, then I'm going to have an aversion to organized religion, and I'm going to stay on the basis of chemical evolution.
You see, these young students, or university students, that was outside from campus, natural science in the United States, all of them, the one said they have brainwashed me with evolution. They have brainwashed me. Now, I used to be a student, and I'm still a student. I will stay a student at the feet of the cross. But in the time that I was studying, can you ever imagine a student, a biology or a medical student, first or second year, that he gets into the amphitheater and the professor gets in, that professor is God himself, incarnated. And the professor said, evolution, punctuated equilibrium is fact. And whosoever believes in God, he's a stupid asshole. Do you know any student who will raise up the hand and go against the professor? 99%? No way. Why? Because there is no chance that you will have and take a degree. So, when you keep your mouth shut against injustice, against your consciousness, then this is a betrayal of faith. There we start to betray. And there was another, let me go back there, from 1,000 individuals in the United States from coast to coast, balanced according to population and gender, 25 to 29 and 20 to 24. And there's the questionnaire. At what age did you begin to really question contents in the Bible? You see K3, grades 4 to 6, high school and early college. Almost 75% during middle age and high school, they start questioning the contents of the Bible. And if you don't believe, when did you first have doubts? Again, 83% said during middle age and high school. That's the most sensitive era. And which of these make you question the Bible the most? What does that make you, that you don't believe the Bible? Now, see that? There are miracles not true, Bible don't make sense, creation account, too many rules, but earth not 10,000 years old. What the Bible says that the earth is less than 10,000 years old, around 6,000 years. Almost 30%. Do you believe that God used evolution to create human beings? Now, this questionnaire is given to Sunday school attendees. Almost 25%, and 18.5% that attend or not attend to Sunday school, they have said that God used evolution. Do you believe that God used evolution to change one kind of animal into another, to have a mutation? Almost 30%, 27.2% said that they were attending Sunday school. They said yes. They said yes. That means those that they go to church, they believe more than those that they are not churchgoers. That's amazing to me. John chapter 5, verse 46 to 47. If you believe Moses, Jesus said, you will believe me, for he wrote about me. But since you don't believe what he wrote, how are you going to believe what I say? That makes sense. Jesus said, if you believe in Moses, that he wrote about creation, you will believe in me, but you don't believe Moses, so why to believe me? So when the Christian says, I believe Jesus, but they don't believe creation, they're just making an overflap to the whole thinking. John chapter 3, verse 12, I have spoken you to Nicodemus at that night of earthly things, and you do not believe. How then will you believe if I speak of heavenly things? We have made before the last Sabbath a presentation here, a study about cosmology and astrophysics, and we will go to that. But you are some lessons behind, but we are going to do that. And we have shown about the majesty of the universe and the multi-universe that are existing, and the multi-dimensional universe, and wormholes and whatsoever. Imagine that Jesus, before 2,000 years to Nicodemus, he was talking about quarks and protons and neutron stars and red giants and white dwarfs and clusters of nebula and Milky Way and galaxies and whatsoever might be. Nicodemus will have looked like him, he have looked to Jesus, and just the jaw will have dropped down. So he was talking about earthly things. And I have met people that they want to know very deep truths, but they have unresolved issues in their daily lives. The age of the earth. Here we see the biblical genealogy and the reference and here from the book of Genesis. And we have the patriarchs that from Adam and Seth, Enos, Kenan, Malalel, Yareth, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah. Here we see the age of the son's birth, the age of death, and the years that they live. So we have around 2,000 years from creation to the flood. And something here is that all the people, their real age timing here, and the word sickness and disease till the flood is not existed. That means Adam lived 930 years. He was full of vigor and strength. No signs of getting old, no pain, nothing. He just slept and was dead. Disease came after flood. That's another issue. Here we see creation, from creation to Jesus Christ, and we see here the timing. I don't have time to go to details. You can freeze that. That's a whole is a whole presentation, only this slide. But anyway, we have here the year of the flood, and around here the year of creation. And I know that some will laugh with that, only 4,000 years before Christ's creation. You're joking to me? No, I'm not. I'm really serious. Days of creation in Genesis 1. There are 6 literal days. In the first day, God created earth, space, time, and light. Day 2, atmosphere. Day 3, dry land and plants. And day 4, our planetary system. Day 5, sea and flying creatures. And day 6, land animals and man. You see, in the first 3 days, he created in reality space and time, space and time. In the other 3 days, he filled, let's say, in the first day, he created space and time here in earth. On the 4th day, he filled the space and time with sun, moon, and the stars. In the 2nd day, he created the atmosphere, the first heaven, as with the biblical sin. And the 5th day, he filled this. And the 3rd day, he created space and time, the dry land and the plants here. And on day 6, he filled in. So in 6 days, the first 3 days, we have the creation of space-time and the fulfillment of that. On the 7th day, he creates space and time, and he filled it with his presence. And I'm talking literally speaking now. That's another presentation. So the word day is used as a yom 2,301 times in the Old Testament. And people, they just question Genesis. I don't know why they're doing this. Because if there are not literal days, then in the Old Testament, poor Joshua here, the 7 days that they were going around Jericho, and he was going with it might be 1,000 years or 10,000 of years, the poor Israelites, they have to be for 7 periods of time Or the poor Jonah that said 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of this beast, the whale. It might be 3,000 years or 3 million years there. He have become a grandpa and the master too. No teeth. Creation, day 1 and 2. You can read it. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. You can read it if you have your Bible. Go again there and study it carefully. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. And there was evening and there was morning the second day. We have the repetition. All this. Evening and morning. Evening and morning. The day starts by the sunset and finishes in the sunset. All consecutive 6 days we have this rhythm. And as we make the exegesis, I will say it with Greek pronunciation. So, when I speak German, my daughter says, Papa, you speak Greek with German accent. Then I say to her, you can accomplish the half that I have done with my Greek accent German, and then you can do more. So, yom in the context. What is exegesis? Is a critical explanation or interpretation of a text, portion, especially of the Bible. So, yom in this context is a regular length day, as it is written. And let's just make some systematic theology. 410 times the day with a number in plural or singular means ordinary day. 38 times it's evening and morning without the word day, the same. 23 times evening and morning together with the word day, the same. And night with day, 52 times, all the same meaning. So where do you fit the million years? Somewhere before the beginning, the first day. Somewhere between Genesis 1 or 1, 2. Gap theory, we say this. Spread the million of years in 6 days. We call it progressive creation or theistic evolution. No. William Dembski, professor of Baylor University, then Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Texas, currently a professor of the Southern Evangelical Seminary. Tell your guy, a senior fellow of the Discovery Institute. So, in reality, in the book The End of Christianity, read this. I don't want to go to all this bumbo jumbo, but it says the young earth solution to reconciling the order of creation with natural history makes good exegetical and theological sense. Indeed, the overwhelming consensus of theologians up through the Reformation held to this view. I mean, up to the Reformation, they held to this. I myself would adopt it in a heartbeat, except that nature seems to present some strong evidence against it. I'm hardly alone in my reluctance to accept young earth creationism. He's a Christian. In our current mental environment, informed as it is by modern astrophysics and geology, the scientific community as a whole regards young earth creationism as scientifically unattainable. And he is a Christian. Wow. Hugh Gross, another Christian, is a leading proponent of the day-age creation. That's another, the gap theory. And he has a ministry of reasons to believe. He has charters in many US cities, including Seattle. And he goes to that, but he puts some gaps in there. Hundreds, thousands of years. So creation and time. So God's revelation is not limited exclusively to the Bible's words. Wow. The facts of nature may be likened to a 67th book of the Bible. No. You're right, but you're wrong. Why? Because nature can point to God's revelation, but cannot be a book without blemish and infallible, because nature is degrading. So I cannot conclude and extract scientifically based evidence or hardcore evidence because of natural phenomena. No. And he goes on, not everyone has been exposed to the 66 books of the Bible, but everyone on planet Earth has been exposed to the 67th book. The book that God has written upon the heavens for everyone to read. And the Bible will tell us it's impossible for God to lie. So the record of nature must be just as perfect and reliable and truthful as the 66 books. No! You are rightfully wrong. Because God never lies, but God allows sin, and you have, a degradation. It cannot be the record of nature just as perfect and reliable and truthful as the Bible. No way. You go out, dear Professor Ross, and try to walk without shoes, especially outside here in Greece. You will see how you're going to shout from joy and start having the gift of speaking in tongues from the ow experience. That was not from the beginning. Jesus said when the disciples, came the Sadducees in Gospel of Matthew, and they tempted him. You know the story. There was one that he died, and his wife married the second, the third, the Levirate marriage. Whose husband going to be in heaven? You remember what Jesus said? You're fooling yourselves because you neither know God nor the truth. From the beginning was not like this. There is an adaptation, a change and transformation, a mutation, you name it, because of sin. Sin makes the catastrophic effect upon all nature. We see it today. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. Don't fool me. So, Genesis chapter 1 to 3, history or fiction? And we're just scratching the crust, the surface now. How done after Adam, reading Genesis and Age of Evolutionary Science, in current Christian thinking about Adam and Eve, several scenarios are on offer. The most compelling one regards Adam and Eve as strictly literal figures, characters in a divinely inspired story about the imagined past that intends to teach theological, not historical, truths about God, creation, and humanity. Although historical Adam and Eve have been very important in the Christian tradition, they are not central to biblical theology as such. The doctrines of the fall and original sin may be reaffirmed without a historical Adam and Eve. Whoa, 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 whoa. But invite reformulation given the overwhelming evidence for an evolving creation. Evolving creation. We are going to have a subject about what is an evolution or an adaptation. John Polkinghorne, professor of mathematical physics at the University of Cambridge, becoming ordained Anglican priest, served as the president of Queen's College, Cambridge from 88 to 1996.
First of all,
listen to him.
I do not think that Adam we all know, I'm sure, that Adam in Hebrew also means just humankind. It's the same word. And I think myself that both in Genesis 3 and certainly in Romans 5, that Adam stands for humankind and the human condition. And obviously something has gone wrong with the human condition. I mean, there is a slantedness in human affairs. That's clear enough. A great American theologian said the only empirically verifiable Christian doctrine was original sin. Just look within yourself and look around, you'll see it. And absolutely. So I see Paul as presenting Jesus as the one who reverses that situation. And I don't for a minute believe that that a single disastrous ancestral act brought into being death that had had not earlier been present in the world. The dinosaurs were all wiped out 65 million years ago. And so biological death has been there a long time. What came into the world with the fall was not biological death, but what you might call mortality. Our self-conscious ancestors were aware that they were going to die, in a way that animals are not, and they had alienated themselves from God. They had somehow turned from God into the human self. So they knew they were going to die. They had lost contact with the one whose good and perfect will is the only ground for the hope of a destiny beyond death. And so sadness at human transience and mortality came into the world with that not single disastrous event, but that process of the fall, of which we are today all the heirs. That's how I understand Romans 5. I think that does all the theological work that Paul needs it to do in Romans 5. I'm not saying that Paul thought of it exactly that way, because obviously he didn't. But I think the essence of what he was wanting to say is conveyed by that. So I can take Romans 5 absolutely seriously. It's a very important part of a very important letter. But I can interpret it in that sort of way.
So, you heard him? Adam was not a real man. He's about, because the word Adam means the first man, so it's all the whole human race. So when Adam met his wife, Eve, that means there were one human race. We don't know how many people, 5, 10, 10,000. And Eve was another human race. So two human races, they came and they have sex. So that's an orgy. So Bible will have made, and they made an orgy. And you see how deceitfully he comes to this. They didn't die. This happened 65 million years ago. There's not a biological death precedes that. A lot of scientific and a lot of philosophical. It's not philosophical. Don't blame that word. The word philosophy in Greek means love for wisdom. So those people, they don't realize. And if you watch in the video, there was a plan. And he was up in the pulpit. And on the left there were two people. The one was like this. He was not praying. He was almost ready to sleep. No wonder with all these things that they say. But in Luke chapter 3, when we read the genealogy from the verse 23 to 37, you can go, I'm not going to read all this. Now, Jesus himself was about 30 years old when he began his ministry. He was the son, so it was thought of Joseph, the son of Heli, the son of Matthias, the son of Levi, the son of Melchi, and go on. And then as you go down to the beginning, the son of Methuselah, the son of Enoch, the son of Yareth, the son of Melahel, the son of Kenan, the son of Enos, the son of Seth, the son of Adam, the son of God. So I think that this professor in Queen's College in Cambridge and doctor, professor, and reverend, because he wears this white collar here. I know, when I see this, I think they're trained dogs, like this. Samson sit, now stand, attack. I don't know. He never read this genealogy. And I want to ask him, what are all these? They're races? For the theodicy, I'm proposing to be compatible with evolution. God must not merely introduce existing human-like beings from outside the garden. In addition, when they enter the garden, God must transform their consciousness so that they become rational, moral agents made in God's image. Now he makes a quantum leap, and he goes that there was something else. There were existing human-like beings outside the garden. Where he read that, he's Christian. And when they enter the garden, God must transform their consciousness out of the blue. And he goes on about the evil and the operating higher plane of consciousness. And after the fall, they might be tempted to resort to that lower consciousness. It's not the sin. It's a lower consciousness, higher consciousness, and left and right and mumbo jumbo. James chapter 3 verse 1. Let not many of you become teachers, my brethren, knowing that as such we will incur a stricter judgment. So, we have all these kind of reinterpretations today regarding Genesis. That was a local flood, theistic evolution, day age, progressive creation, gap theory, framework hypothesis. And all this, they come just to demolish the foundation, the cornerstone rock. With the fossil records, I'm not going to go in detail to that. We're going to have perhaps a presentation sometime in the future. And we know that flood happened 2,500 years BC. And here we have the scientist, as this artifact is saying, and theologian. The Bible is not true. The rock layers show that the earth is a million years old. You have to believe me. I thought that belief is for the believers, not for the scientists. I'm a scientist. He juxtaposed himself. I'll just accept the million years and add it to the Bible and the theologian because he has no scientific regalia. He's not studied for himself. And we have the Precambrian and Paleozoic and Mesozoic and Cenozoic and life and all this. And this is from Geologic Society of America, 2009 edition. And we can go to that, not today, and we can see that the rubber meets the road. It's not just an easy come and easy go. Genesis chapter 7. Because today they're talking about local flood. The waters prevailed so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole heaven were covered. Everything on the dry land in whose nostrils was the breath of life died. So, if the flood was local, how local was it? Like that? And that was good. I found it. I have to show you. Look at the beautiful rainbow. It's a promise from God that He'll never again flood the entire earth as He did in Noah's day. My Christian college professor, like the ones that we saw before, said that Noah's flood didn't cover the entire earth. He told you it was just a localized flood. That's what he said, the professor, said his son. And then, so he believes that God promised to never again send a localized flood. Because when God promised, I never do a flood like this, so I will never do a localized flood. But Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, you're going to hear of wars, rumors of pestilence, floods and earthquakes in diverse places. The sound of the waters will roar and the hearts of many will freeze. So God promised He will never do a localized flood. What we see today? 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 3 to 6. First of all, you must understand this, that scoffers will come in the last days. They deliberately ignore this fact that by the word of God, heavens existed long ago. An earth formed out of water and by means of water, through which the world that then existed was deluged with water and perished. This is New Testament. They deliberately ignore this fact that the world that was existed was destroyed by water. A naturalist cannot correctly interpret the world with supernatural history. Noah's Ark, 2 of every kind of animal, of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. Genesis chapter 6, verse 20. And then we find here with paleontology and archaeology, 65 million years old, how they do that. Rocks do not come with tags saying how old they are. Like we do in Facebook today. I make a tag. No. And there are hundreds of physical processes set limits on the age of the world. More than 90% of all these processes give an age less than billion of years. From helium in atmosphere, for sodium in sea, from natural plutonium, natural gas in earth, orphan radio halos, coral reef growth, all the living plants, uranium in sea, neutrons in lead, rotation of spiral galaxies, carbon-14 in meteorites, decay of comets, lifetime of meteor showers, hardening of rocks, potassium in sea, Titans, methane loss, Stone Age burials, and go on. From each of these natural processes, we can go to a special presentation, but not today. So, the biblical history time starts from creation. We have the genealogies, flood, the coming of Christ, and where to present. Where do you fit the million of years here? It's a straight line. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. Edmund Burke. And that's very important to know history. Luke chapter 17, verse 26 to 27. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the Son of Man. They ate, they drank, they married, they were given in marriage until the day when Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. And we're living at the same era right now. Thomas Huxley, Science in Hebrew Tradition. Thomas Huxley. Now, listen to what this person is saying. If Adam may be held to be no more real a personage than Prometheus from the Greek mythology, and if the story of the fall is merely an instructive type comparable to the profound Promethean mythos, what value has Paul's dialectic? The punishment fits the crime. Why Paul to have all this Christian dialectic? No reason. I confess I soon lose my way when I try to follow those who walk delicately among types and allegories. A certain passion for clearness forces me to ask bluntly whether the writer means to say that Jesus did not believe the stories in question or that he did. When Jesus spoke, as a matter of fact, that the flood came and destroyed them all, did he believe that the catastrophe really took place or not? He was blindfolding the people? And what about the authority of the writers of the books of the New Testament, who on this theory have not merely accepted the flimsy fictions for solid truths, but have built the very foundations of Christian dogma upon legendary quicksands? We have astronomy. We will go to that. 1 Peter chapter 3. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. We need to study. We need to study like never before. And it's not the study of any faculty of science or the Bible that will give us knowledge and make us better, but will teach us if we humble ourselves and we want to hear, to see, acknowledge, believe, and live the truth in love as it is in Jesus Christ. I hope that you will be doing good, having a blessed Sabbath. We will be again here for you next Friday at 7 o'clock. God bless you. Keep in touch. God is coming.